Welcome back to the In My Thoughts podcast. And this is take number 3 because first time it was a computer fault, second time it was my fault. Hopefully third time's a charm. And let's start talking about a little something. If I'm not mistaken, this is episode 28. And I know I'm a little late on this episode because I've been really under the weather. My voice was really shaky and everything like that. I had my nose was running really bad. I was coughing, hacking, stuff like that. So I was gonna wait to try and get better for our episode. I guess this is the best I'm gonna get for the time being. But I was watching. I watch a good amount of podcasts on YouTube, and one of the ones I watch all the time is the Joe Budden podcast. Watch it every Friday, or they do it 2 times a week, so Friday and Monday and stuff like that. And the one episode I was watching, they were talking about new artists getting into the business, and how when you get into the business, sometimes managers and labels try to jerk you and try and really lowball you on your signing bonus and stuff like that. And they started talking about whose fault is that? Is it the manager's fault? Is it the artist's fault? Or is it the label's fault? And the one thing, and when I was listening to their conversation, I was just like, well, Dad, no one should be really trying to jerk anybody, especially someone brand new into the business. But Joe was saying that he blames artists for getting bad deals. And the one thing he said is that it's no one's business to, what Dad, right when I'm trying to do an episode, I gotta say it wrong. It's no one's business to teach you business. And of course, I've heard that a million times, but for some reason, it's like, that's the truth. It is no one's business to teach you business, and once you get into the business, it's your responsibility to follow up and make sure everything's in order when it comes to the money, comes to the budgets, where money's getting allocated to, and stuff like that. And that just, of course, like I said, I've heard that before, and I know what it means and stuff like that. But when I was thinking about it, I was just thinking about my life in particular, and I was just like, that's absolutely right. Because I remember it was right when I was in high school, probably let's say December-ish or something like that. And of course, senior year, everybody's talking about college and stuff like that. Everybody's talking about how where you want to go, what you want to major and stuff like that. And I remember the process of trying to get into school, and it's really a hassle. But it's crazy because a lot of the times, at least for me in particular, when I was trying to get into school, I remember all the papers I was signing. I remember all the meetings I was having, and I didn't know what was going on. I just started signing some stuff because I thought that was the right thing to do. And looking at my life now, it's just like, I didn't know anything about what I was signing, stuff like that. And a lot of those meetings I was having by myself because I love my parents to death, but they didn't necessarily know how to get into school. They didn't really know who to talk to, what things I should be looking into and stuff like that. And it was a situation where I was just doing stuff on my own. And the one thing I really wanted to do is get into school. And it didn't really matter how I did it. It didn't really matter what was going to cost me. I just wanted to get into school because I thought that was the right thing to do. And of course, when you know how parents are, when they're kind of pushing you to be like, what do you want to do with your life? I started making some rash decisions because I didn't want to make it seem like I just didn't know, or I didn't know what to do, and I didn't want to just be at the house. And there was a lot of stuff going in the pressures that come with that and stuff like that. So I remember going in the office with an advisor for a certain school, and I just started signing papers, and I didn't really understand the papers I was signing. I didn't understand what's the difference between financial aid and student loans. I didn't understand that some financial aids that you still got to pay back because they're technically student loans, but they don't really tell you that. And of course, they hit you with the long pamphlet, the long booklet that explains everything, but no one really reads it, kind of like the terms and conditions that are going on, which are device and stuff like that no one really reads or anything like that. We just hit the accept button because that's what we want to do. And it's a scary thing because there are people out here looking for young minds to take advantage of. Like I said, when it comes to the music, when it comes to college, when it comes to anything really, there is no one here to just be like, yo, this is what you need to be learning about. This is what you need to know. This is the articles and websites you need to look at, because at the end of the day, we only got ourselves, and it's it's really crazy how people will want to take advantage of others and stuff like that. Like I said, when it came to school, I didn't know what I was signing. I just knew that I wanted to go to school. I just wanted to make my parents proud. It didn't matter what I signed or anything like that, because I knew if I signed some more, I'll go into school. And I made a lot of bad decisions when I was signing these papers. I didn't know nothing about, because I was alone. It was just me and the advisor. Of course, the advisor wants me to sign on because of their agendas and stuff like that, good or bad. And I was alone. I didn't necessarily know what I was doing. I didn't want to read anything. I just wanted to go home to my parents like, yo, I got in. And unfortunately, I'm kind of paying for that right now. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm financially set. I'm fine. But I'm taking now after going through my college experience, I'm taking my time when it comes to doing anything, when it comes to a contract, paperwork, a loan, anything. Like, a lot of people always ask me, why am I still driving the car I'm driving now? I drive a 2004 Mazda 3. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I got a dent in the back, the paint's chipping. I have a dent in the front. Like, it's like, don't get me wrong, it ain't crazy, but it has gone through it. It has been in the war a little bit, it's getting beat up. And a lot of people be asking me, if you have the money, why don't you just go and grab a new car? But the thing is that I'm not here to impress nobody. Of course, I could buy a new car if I really want to, but at the end of the day, I've been traumatized when it comes to money and paperwork, so I'm not doing anything until I have sound proof and evidence that this is the best thing for me. So I'm not really in the game of just buying something new, like, just because. Like, no, don't get me wrong, I would love to buy a new car, but until I want to do some research. I'm not a car dude. So when it comes to certain cars, I really want to know that information. I want to know what's the interest rate on it. I want to know everything. I don't want to just go in and try and buy a car, because that's the same thing like the college situation. And at the end of the day, it's like, what's the best thing for me? It's not what's best for everybody else, because they can see me in a new car, or they could see me in a new house, or just anything that might come up in the future. It's what's the best thing for me and what I'm doing. Because a lot of times people are not teaching you certain things. Like, you always hear about high school, and everybody asks, why aren't they teaching us stocks? Why aren't they teaching us about how to manage money? Why are we looking at equations that we know that we're never going to use in school? I mean, using the real world, but we're using it in school. Why are they taking us away from what the things that we need to learn about, but we're learning about all this other stuff that really doesn't matter at the end of the day? And that's a whole different conversation, but that's true. Like, why don't we know this? Who is going to be the one to teach young adolescent kids what's the best thing to do when it comes to money, when it comes to building relationships and networking and knowing what's the next step? Is like, it's hard to really maneuver, because at the end of the day, there is no one here to really teach you. You have to really be out on your own and kind of figure it out. Now, of course, some people do have family members and mentors that can really help, but for the ones that don't, sometimes you really are on your own, and you're going to be set in front of somebody that you don't know, and they want to start telling you everything they want to hear just for you to sign on the dotted line. And now it's just like, I'm not here to just sign on the dotted line. I'm skeptical as ever now. Like, when it comes to my money now, like, don't get me wrong, everybody knows I spend money. I really do. But the one thing I started doing with myself is that if I'm going to spend money, then I need to have money being allocated to different accounts and funds to make sure that if I'm going to spend some money, there is money getting poured into other accounts to make sure I have it. So what I started doing is I started breaking down my money into 3 or 4 accounts, just to make sure no matter what, I have money in other places, so I'm always going to be set. And what I started doing is I started spending the percentage of what. Oh my God, my iPad is making all the noise now. Stop it. So sorry about that. What I started doing is that I made a pie chart for about how much money I make in a week, because I get paid weekly. And then from there I started breaking it down into, okay, this account gets this much percentage, the bill account gets this much percentage, this is how much I can spend this week in XYZ. And that's really started to help me out, because at the end of the day, who wants to spend a whole paycheck in a couple of days and then have to go wait for the next paycheck? And every 7 days you're broke again until the Friday that comes up, then you get to re-up on your money, then just to spend it again. No one wants to do that. But the thing is that since me knowing that oh my God, Okay, I'll look at that later. Me knowing that I spend money, I need to protect myself too. And the one thing I always try to tell people is that no matter what you're doing, make sure that you create some sort of security for yourself. Because at the end of the day, sometimes parents ain't going to always be there to be your security net. You're not always going to have that side person, that side something to help you out. And if you end up being on your own, you're all you got. So you got to protect yourself by any means. So the one thing I started doing is I started Acorns in probably like November. Acorns is a stock investment app. I'm not really good at stocks, but Acorns pretty much does it for you. I know that's kind of bad because like you're putting your money into an app that you don't necessarily know exactly how it works. But I wanted to start somewhere, and I'm also still trying to learn stocks and stuff like that. So once I get a better grasp on it, I'll maneuver that money a little bit differently. Like I'm watching it, I see it grow, I see where the money's going, I understand why it's going in certain ways, certain places and stuff like that. So I'm cool with it for the time being. But I started doing that. I started putting X amount of money in the savings. I started putting X amount of money in another account. I have a safe in my room that I always throw money to make sure no matter what, I'm safe. Because at the end of the day, no one's here to really teach you that. Of course, like I said, parents are around, but when you're by yourself, you just got to know some of the things. And it's very interesting because, like I said, when it came to school, there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know. Like, for real, I've been out of high school for 6 years now. If I could go back to when I was graduating, like the very next day, I think, not saying I would have been rich or anything like that, but certain plays that I would have made back in the day, I would have a long conversation with myself just to be like, yo, Rob, let me tell you something. You're about to do this. Don't do it this way because this is the end result. You need to come over here and do it this way because this is the result that you want and stuff like that. And just have a real conversation because don't get me wrong. When I spend money, sometimes I don't care about what I'm spending. If I want it, I'm going to go grab it. But the thing is that for a while, I was spending money and not having a proper safety net for myself. And that started becoming an issue later in life. So if I could really have that conversation with myself, there'll be a couple of gems I would place on myself. So me being 25 now, I wouldn't have to worry about it. Like I said, I'm not really worried about money right now, but you can never have... the proper safety net is always going to be the proper safety net for you, depending on what you're doing, depending on the job you have, what bills you have, X, Y, Z. But it's just an interesting thing because there are people out here that just want you to sign on the dotted line, and no matter what you do, it's like you signed it. So you are contractually required to meet these requirements, and then after that, if you don't, you're going to get penalized. Who knows what's going to happen to you? Like, not to throw people under the bus or anything, but there's a lot of kids that I know who financially are struggling because they just signed it on the dotted line and not knowing enough about what they're signing about. They did it because of the fact of their parents, they wanted to please them or they want to please someone else, or they just thought it was the right thing to do. Like I said, when it came to me in college, I just thought college was the right thing to do. So I jumped into something that I really shouldn't have. Like, for anybody who doesn't know, I went to culinary school for a year. I did learn a lot, but the thing is that wasn't my passion no more. I kind of jumped into that because I was kind of inspired to do it. And I knew that was going to lead me into college, and college was the right thing to do in my mind at the time. So I jumped into there, did that for a year, didn't bang with it, came home, and I started doing a business degree at Dell Tech, and certain things happened with that. Then I moved my major to something else, and it was just a whole bunch of moving around, and I never really felt like I had a strong foundation when it came to school. Don't get me wrong, my grades were fine, but it wasn't for me. And I was doing a lot of stuff because of the fact that I thought it was just the right thing to do, not necessarily the proper thing to do for me. So the one thing like I said, I'm babbling a lot, but the one thing I always want to tell people is that, listen, you got to realize that sometimes you're the only one you got, and you need to protect yourself at all costs. So create safety nets for yourself, figure out how to manage money, look up anything you need to know about money and stuff like that. Ask questions, because at the end of the day, people are not just going to give you the information, not just going to give you the key to the mint. You have to go find it. You have to look for it. You have to research, whole bunch of research, and you got to really listen to people and see their intentions. Like I said, I talked to an advisor for almost 2 hours, and after talking to her, I just realized that she wasn't there for me. She just wanted me to get involved to get my money. And recently, I went back and looked at some of the packets that I signed off on. And I'm just reading the terms and agreements. I'm like, what was I doing? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But of course, I wasn't the one reading it. I let other people read it for me. They probably skimmed it for me and explained certain things. Or I just signed on the dotted line and just like, yo, whatever happens, happens. Because guess what? I'm in school now. And that's not really the way to go. I wish, like, kids, especially around, let's say, junior year, really start talking to people that are really in their corner to be like, yo, what should I do with my money? I want to go to school. I want to go to school for X, Y, Z, and have those real conversations. Because schools, like, no matter what, schools are a business. Everything around here is a business. So when you get into a partnership with a business, they're going to hold up your end, and you're supposed to hold up your end as well. But if you're not reading it and you're just like doing things like I said I was doing, it just creates a whole mess and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, just understand what you're signing, what you're doing, what's the best thing for you. Don't listen to just people who want you to do what they want, because at the end of the day, they have ulterior motives a lot of the time. And you never really know until at the end of the day, once you sign, then you start seeing things come to light and be like, okay, you wanted me to sign because of X, Y, Z. This is what's going on. And then you put yourself in a hole. Now, me personally, I'm repaying back certain loans that I know I shouldn't have took out. And of course, they put me on a monthly thing, but of course, if you pay over a certain amount, you pay it too fast because they want to collect that interest rate on you. And once they collect the interest rate on you, then you just build up more of a, you're more in debt to them and stuff like that. But if you pay too quickly, then they'll penalize you for it. Unfortunately, that's happened to many people that I know, that you're getting penalized for paying back stuff too early because of the fact of you want to just get rid of it. But that's not how it works. You have to stay on their track, their timeline, so they can get as much money as possible and stuff like that. So, like I said, I know I've been talking for a while, and I'm gonna bring this topic back because it's something that I'm planning on doing, but I need to make sure I do enough research to make sure that when I talk to y'all about it, it is the proper things, and I don't want to say anything that's going to affect y'all negatively if y'all try to do anything that I say on here. But at the end of the day, like I said, read, do research, listen to people that you respect and that you value their opinion and you trust. 'Cause at the end of the day, people are here for alternative motives, and you never really know what's going to happen sometimes. But I think that's really, that's what I wanted to say this one. But, I didn't even tell y'all, right? Just, 'cause I told y'all August 10th I was going to re-weigh myself to let y'all know exactly what weight I was. 'Cause I said that, in August, I wanted to be at least 150 by my birthday. I got real close. I'm 148.5. So I was a pound and some change off. So I don't really have a new goal or anything like that for this, for the next couple months. But when I figure something out, I'll definitely let y'all know. But that's my episode for today. And like I said, I know I was babbling for a while, probably being very repetitive, but it's just something that bothered me a little bit. I just want to explain to people that, listen, sometimes you're the only one you got. And you just got to make sure that you know you're doing things properly and you're actually reading all the information, because no one's feeding people information on purpose anymore. People have alternative motive. People want to do business with you for their benefit, and that's not always the best thing for you. But if y'all stayed to the end, I hope y'all just get that message out and stuff like that. But to anybody who stumbled across my podcast or who is a reoccurring person, thank you for listening. Remember, at the end of the day, that your thoughts are your thoughts. No one can tell you that your thoughts are wrong. It's your opinion. And this is the In My Thoughts podcast, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.